So next up, Alex from TouchBistro, who was last here 3 years ago, but good to see him back. And also keen to see what's changed in the life of a hospitality-focused software company in the intervening years. Alex.
Good afternoon, everyone. I have not been at MPE in 3 years, somewhat years. So I'm, first of all, happy to be back, and also happy to share with you what's been going on in TouchBistro's world, as well as the world of integrated payments as well with MPOS systems. So I always say this, it's, before you can believe the messenger, you have to before you can believe the message, you have to believe the messenger. So, what is it that makes us experts in our field? So we have, I like to do this in reverse order to the presentation, but we've deployed over 15,000 venues worldwide. I'll show you a map shortly. Represents some 30,000 some odd iPads running TouchBistro. And when you add up all of our venues, we do about $8 billion a year in gross merchant volume. Actually, these numbers as of November, the last time we actually checked the stats. So we're clearly beyond that. We have won numerous awards as to the best restaurant point of sale solution. We believe in being focused into a vertical. We only do restaurants. We don't get distracted by retail or dry cleaning or anything like that. So we like to be best in breed. We've won several design awards. We have a patent on the way that we actually split the bill and produce the invoice. And we also have won 2 years in a row now Deloitte's Fast 50 fastest growing companies in North America. This shows you just our reach. So we're headquartered in Toronto, but as you can see, these are our installations worldwide. The two different colors represent fast casual and full service or fine dining. US is being our largest market, Canada second. Surprising, in less than a year, actually Mexico has become our third largest city. But we are the #1 grossing iPad point of sale in over 40 countries, according to the Apple App Store. So the value prop is, again, by focusing on hospitality only and the three main players there. So we have solutions for the owner-operator, whole back-end cloud reporting system. We have, of course, the actual MPOS itself that the waiters carry around with them, take it to table side. I was listening earlier to the gentleman who said about the TJF dilemma. We take the order right at the table. We do it in a unique way that no one else does it, and we can take payments on the spot, split them instantly, and take payment right on the device, should we have to. As well as, because of our customers' demand being the restaurants themselves, we actually also have front-facing customer displays, or kiosks, as we call them in the industry, where you can place the order for yourself, you can take payment right on the device as well. We also lately had some notoriety on television. So that's Gordon Ramsay. We are the featured point of sale. He has a new show called 24 Hours to Hell and Back, where he actually goes into these restaurants all across America. They refurbish the restaurant, both its look and feel, and change their menu. But also, half of the time, these restaurants either have a outdated point of sale or no point of sale. And so we have a team that goes down and within the 24-hour time frame, while they're dismantling the restaurant and everything else, we actually set up the system, enter their menu, program everything, and we do it all in, again, the allotted time. We have sometimes given 3 hours to do this, and we are up and running by the time that the filming resumes, and they go live 24 hours later. And so that's quite a feat, because on they actually tried this with several other point-of-sale systems, mostly legacy ones, and they weren't able to deploy in such a small window. And so again, having off-the-shelf commodity tablets is quite beneficial for that. And I was surprisingly fortunate enough to actually be on a couple episodes. But we know that in order to be successful in the space, as a lot of our other colleagues and competitors in our space know that we have to have an open API. We can't do everything. So we do have an open API that allows us to integrate into a variety of systems, including other online ordering, loyalty solutions, scheduling, loans, payments, back office, and whatnot. And so, but our biggest let's say, integration partnerships have come in the form of payment processors. So this is just, a few of the payment processors that we have integrated with. We do direct integrations. We don't use a middleware or anything like that. These are all PCI compliant solutions. They take time, of course, but it's worth it, and I'll talk about, again, the pros and cons of each one of these solutions. And what we do with all of these acquirers is we have a rev share relationship with all of our partners, because we get some 3,000 leads a month that come to TouchBistro, and so people looking for a point of sale solution. And so what we do, of course, is while we are onboarding that client or qualifying that client, the conversation inevitably becomes, do you wish to take payments? And 99, if not 100% of the leads that come our way, of course, want to take some sort of credit card payment. And so we then pass that lead to one of our partners. And again, these partners are regional. You see the different parts of the world, we have different acquiring relationships. But because we've effectively handed them a customer for free, say, if we call up Vent and we say, here you go, TSYS, Cayenne, Chase, here's a free customer. In exchange, we'd like to have a relationship with you on a rev share basis. In the early days when we had small volumes, perhaps we got a lot of no's, but now with the volume, we do about 500 restaurants every single month. It's a very easy conversation to have now. And so right in the app itself, because we believe in using commodity off-the-shelf hardware, such as the iPad, which you can get everywhere and anywhere. Right in the app itself, the store owner, the merchant, in our case, would literally pick. You can only have one of these active. So you would say, okay, I'm with Cayenne, or I'm with Chase, and I put in my MID and my password, and I'm ready to go. But the one, let's say, challenge that we've had with our referral arrangement has been that the device themselves, so in this case I've got an Ingenico device here and a Chase device, this is often in the logistics warehouse of the actual acquirer. And so when we ship out we are Apple authorized resellers in a few countries, so when we ship out the iPads and the printers and all the devices, quite often in the past we did not ship out the actual payment device. And so all of that would come from the different acquirer. And of course, not only that, when we hand off that customer to the acquirer, they have to go through their adjudication process. And so they got to do the AML and the KYC and all that stuff. And for us, that would go into a sort of black box until we heard back whether or not that acquirer had successfully onboarded that client. And then when we get it back, we would take over the solution. But sometimes that could be a couple days, 48 hours. They always say it's 48 hours, but that's 48 hours after they received all the information. So if the customer, if the merchant didn't send all the appropriate information, it could be up to 2 weeks before we hear back from anybody. It's a bit of a black box. So this year, what we did is we actually launched something called TouchBistro Payments, and that is a white label solution that actually we partner with Chase. Because of all of these challenges, we said we want to control the customer experience. We want to make the customer's experience, i.e. the restaurateur's experience, much more seamless. And so from a customer experience standpoint, we wanted to ship the payment device along the time that we shipped everything else. Because for us, when the devices didn't arrive at the same time, 1/3 of our installations would have to actually get rebooked because they'd receive the iPad, they'd receive everything else, but they didn't receive the payment device. Or the opposite, they receive the payment device, and then it receive everything else. And also we have to train our staff onto all the various different payment devices and how they integrate from a support, when you're onboarding our client into TouchBistro. And so now we have within the app the ability to turn on payments, which makes us what some people in the industry, the industry is moving to, as many of my colleagues that have been up here earlier today, the ISO model is quickly going away, if not already dead, or obvious to everyone that it is dying. And so it's what's becoming more prevalent in the United States anyway is this PayFac idea or PayFac model, which is payment facilitator. And so quite often, companies such as ourselves are partnering with other acquirers and creating a white label solution that is fully integrated into the software. So from a support standpoint, you've only got one process. Everyone understands how to use it. It's a little easier, and there's pros and cons to that, and I'll get to that in a minute. We were fortunate that we got to partner with JP Morgan actually quite recently in our latest fundraising. I just raised $72 million, and JP Morgan actually took a big chunk of that. They co-led the investment with a private equity firm called Omers Ventures in Canada. And so by having JP Morgan as a partner, so first we were lucky that they're the largest bank in America. They happen to be the 6th largest bank in the world. Gave us a great deal of payment experience with them and expertise. And again, we were able to integrate the solution, the payment device and solution, everything right into TouchBistro itself. So what are the benefits of doing that? Well, from an ISV standpoint, we're able to provide better customer support, right? Because when they call in, again, we have one standardized process that we take them through. We have one device to deal with. We understand it intimately more than someone else's device. It is fully integrated. There is no, I noticed here, it's not as common to have a full integration with third-party ISVs. You still see the two disparate systems where the cash register then you then take the total from the cash register, you enter into the payment terminal. Again, you have a one-box proposition where everything arrives at the exact same time. You have greater insights into the payment volume. And then also, lastly, is that you have a higher rev share potential with your acquiring partner, because you're taking a lot more of the front end away from them, which I'll get to that in a second. It's both pros and cons. But we take the frontline support. So when someone calls in, we're able to walk them through and troubleshoot them and see if and why they're having any problem. And then the last part is customer portability. So we own the customer both from a SaaS revenue, and also we own that customer from a transaction volume revenue. So if for some reason we wish to switch out our back end, we can. And we can take that customer to a better solution should we want to in the future. Now, what are some of the cons of integrating payments directly into your solution? So the first one is increased call support volume, and you have to staff accordingly. So you have to have quite a bit more staff on hand to take because should something go down, of course you're the first call they get. Now, the reality is, and this is what we were facing before, whenever we referred someone to a third-party acquirer, and the person is at the terminal and they swipe the card and it doesn't work, even if it was WorldPay is down or Chase is down or Vantiv is down, who do you think they call first? They call TouchBistro first, and they say your solution doesn't work. And so we were as they call, we were doing the time for not committing the crime. We were always getting blamed. That just makes it, in this situation, it's even worse because you are 100% at fault no matter who's down, because they just see you as the single payment solution. Again, so if they have a negative experience, we would hear this all the time. Someone would call us and say, "My acquirer, I don't like the rates, I don't like this. They withheld my money, et cetera, do you have another acquirer that I could use?" And we still do that, by the way. We will continue to still do that. We believe in optionality, so we will always have a string of acquiring partners, especially in the different jurisdictions that we will partner with. But where appropriate, we will have our own solution as well. And again, some things are out of your control in terms of inventory, device shortages, and things like that. If there isn't enough devices or things, the payment device itself doesn't get out on time, or you just don't have enough of them, you now have to make this part of your bill of materials for everything else. And lastly is you have a much longer development cycle. So as not only with TouchBistro Payments, but also with our other payment offerings, as I said, we have direct integrations. We don't use a middleware, and so that takes time. You introduce complexity, and you have to go through certification. So in fact, for us, we thought this was record time in the payments industry. But by the time we launched, we announced that we were going to do TouchBistro Payments, we were in market live processing customers in 6 months. And so I know that in the payments world, that actually is quite quickly. But you do have to, if you do want to integrate payments into your software solution, again, you may need to partner with different rails or acquirers in each jurisdiction, as well as the legal and financial implications. So in Mexico, for example, when we entered the Mexican market, we had to, of course, translate into Spanish. That was the first thing we had to do. But also we had to integrate with their fiscal recording system, which again, every invoice gets sent up to the government and recorded there. So that's my 15 minutes, and I want to stay on time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.